But eventually one day, one long day that lasted probably the equivalent of 2 or 3 days actually, where we sort of went to war. By that I mean it was not a declared war, but that's what it evolved into. The inmate population had decided they weren't going to let any officers come back to in front of their cell front. They weren't going to let them make rounds or do anything else. So we developed a very quick plan of action that involved a lot of tear gas. And we collected a team on the spot. It's not where you had a riot squad sitting back waiting to come help you out. We made our own decisions on the spot and decided to go back and retake the building. And we did. I can remember, and I left out a very critical part of it, and that was during that time, to show their contempt, they actually murdered a correctional officer. And we actually had to, or didn't have to, but we were called upon to go to his funeral and even to go with his, and visit his family and give our regrets. That's a hard thing to do, and I've had to do it twice in my career, but I went to see the family with then Secretary Wainwright, but when we came back from the funeral, we were on our own again, and the riot somehow was, I don't know, I guess planned to take place on the same day as a means of showing their contempt, being the inmate population at that point in time. So we came back, it had started, and they wouldn't let the officers make the rounds to the count. They were throwing fire bombs at them, they were threatening with homemade knives. They'd smuggled into their cells. To make a long story short, which I'm sure I have not, we actually decided this was going to be Custer's last stand in that regard. Either us or the inmates were going to prevail. So we took every piece of arsenal equipment we had, every bit of tear gas we had, and went around and tear gassed every cell block in the building. And cleaned out every cell, took every weapon away, took every inmate out of his cell and put him back in. At the end of the day, we hauled off, I think it was 12 dump trucks full of personal property. So bucket seats out of a car. Tell me how a bucket seat out of a car winds its way back in a cell on death row. I don't know how it got there, but obviously some help. But that was the day, that was the turning point. When we did that, we earned a certain amount of respect, maybe grudgingly, but that's what happened. And from then on, we were able to control that environment, and it wound up being a better experience for everybody involved, to include the inmates. I mean, I don't say that they were very gracious, ever. It's not that kind of population. But it did, I think, put confidence in the rest of the staff that they would be able to do their jobs, and they would be supported if they need it. And more people then came to actually think of FSP as a place they could work, and we attracted, I think, over the years, better help after that. In fact, the entire operation just sort of smoothed out, and that enabled me to continue there and eventually embrace the execution process that picked up an accelerated pace, and be promoted to warden as well, again with almost no other people applying for the job.